Hello there. Good afternoon. It's about 12:05 Atlanta time, and going live on YouTube on my YouTube channel to talk about the sleepers on the offensive line. As you know, some of the best sleepers in all of football can be found in the on the offensive line. It's a place where you can get good value. I kind of one of my lines I've used through years of scouting is that skill players are born, offensive linemen are built. I spent a long time at I spent 3 days watching practice at the Senior Bowl and got to see several of the players there. And I thought the offensive line group at the Senior Bowl was probably the most talented group, had the most depth, which shouldn't be completely surprising when you when you think about the dynamics of the skill players, and you take a running back who I said is born to be a running back. And you take someone like Leonard Fournette at 20 years old, he's ready to go. He's the finished product, the full. He's not going to get much better. But you take an offensive lineman who is so much more reliant on strength and technique and grappling as opposed to quick twitch and speed, and you're going to get those fourth and fifth year guys. So you don't see a lot of great running backs at the Senior Bowl, not even so much as corners or wide receivers, the skill guys so much as you do the offensive linemen. So I wasn't surprised to see that it was a very good group on the offensive line, but still, I was very impressed with the group there, and I think there's some value that can be had on the offensive line. So let's first take a look at one of the players that I've been banging the drum on a little bit since I got back from Mobile, and that's Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown is out of Northern Iowa, and he is 6'8" and a half, 314 pounds, and measured with an 82 3/8 wingspan. Wingspan going this way. Now, frankly, 82 3/8 wingspan is actually, for his height, a little short. But, I think that actually works to his advantage because it's still super long. But what it does is it means that he's able to get a little bit better leverage. So if you've lifted weights or something like that, the bench press is it goes against the taller, longer, leaner guys. So with shorter arms with him, there's a video of Spencer Brown on his Twitter page of him bench pressing 500 pounds. Now, would it have counted in a powerlifting contest? No, he would have been disqualified. A little bit of bounce, a little bit of back arch, but he's got 500 pounds on his chest. That's incredible. So one of the things I love about him is you see him here on right tackle. Actually, that's the point. You don't see him there at right tackle. He's hiding behind the guard. He gets so low, but then he comes out and fires out, and you see him all the way downfield chasing the running back. Again, 6'8" and a half, good bend, kickback block, and he just swallows. That's Patrick Jones out of Pitt, defensive end. Just swallows him, gives him a little shove, 500-pound bench press again. So Spencer Jones, 6 foot, again, he just disappears, just squats down, and we'll see it. We'll see it here in one of the next plays. Gets out to the second level, gets a rub. Let's watch that play again. I want to run that one back because that's one of my favorite plays. You see him get a rub on the tackle. One more time. Get a rub on the tackle, and then he's out to the second level, and I'm going to pause it when he makes contact with the linebacker. Right there. Pause it right there. The running back is still 1.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, while Spencer Brown has engaged the linebacker on the second level. That's pretty impressive. It shouldn't surprise you. It didn't surprise me when I found out he was an all-conference basketball player. Out of Northern Iowa, these are the kind of guys that usually go to the University of Iowa. The Iowa Hawkeyes have made a living with players like this who come in as 250-pound tight ends and end up being first-round draft picks on the next level as they get built. Again, linemen are built. You have to have the athleticism and frame, obviously, but it takes a little bit more time for those guys to develop. So Spencer Brown. Let's watch him a little bit more. I've got him in some pass sets here as well, some pass pro. Again, down here, if I pause it right there in his stance, this is him down here. He's lower than the tight end. He's lower than the guard. So if you're talking about flexibility, it's incredibly impressive what he's able to do at 6'8" and a half, and then get out and just push his guy out of the way, nice and easy. 314 pounds. At some point you ask, how tall is too tall? That's not the case here. There's no problem. Nice drive block, getting low. That's a 6'1" linebacker. He's just shuffling out of the way for Michael Carter. Again, watch him on the right side. Gets in his stance. Pass pro here. Good drop step. Patrick Jones gets a little help from Robert Hainesy out of Notre Dame, the guard there. Here he's against Jonathan Cooper at end. You're not moving this guy. You know, we talk about playing with leverage. Coming again off the right end here. Left end on defense, right tackle. You know, just stiff arms him. Stiff arms the end from Notre Dame. So he's going against, he got a chance to challenge himself against some of the bigger names and bigger school players, even though he's coming out of a small school. So for me, Spencer Brown, how big of a sleeper is he now? You know, I still consider him a sleeper because he's still sitting in the in mock drafts in the 3rd and 4th round. There's some, and especially the Pittsburgh Steelers mock drafts have him higher than that. But for me, I've seen them take him. There's some that is creeping into the 1st round, but you take a guy out of Northern Iowa, 6'8.5". If you're getting him in the 3rd round, I don't see any way he lasts that long. So to me, that's why I have him as a sleeper, and I love the guy. So how about a little bit more of a sleeper here, a traditional sleeper? Let's bring up Jaylen Brown here, or Jaylen Moore. I'm sorry, I got Spencer Brown on my mind. Jaylen came in at left tackle here out of Western Michigan, 6'8", 6'4", 311 pounds. I mentioned the wingspan. His wingspan is almost identical to Spencer Brown's, which pays dividends for him because at 6'4", he needs a little bit more of a reach. But, you know, good strong base. I like the way, watch his kickback here and the way he chops his feet once he's engaged. His feet move really well, uses his hands well. Still gets plenty low. Here he is at left tackle. Hand fighting there. That was all hands able to get there, but he moves his feet so well. He chops his feet. We'll get a look at him here in a moment at guard as well. And I think that's where he probably ends up on the next level. You know, thanks for joining. But we're talking Jaylen Moore out of Western Michigan now. Again, here he's at left tackle. Nice kickback block. Unfortunately, Patrick Jones out of Pitt ended up being highlighted for the wrong reasons in a lot of these. Here he's at guard, getting low, pushing, drive blocking his man. Again, Michael Carter had a very good week at running back out of North Carolina. A guard, left guard again. Nice and low in his stance, fires out, gets out to the 2nd level and gets a secondary block. So when I'm looking at Jaylen Moore, 6'4" and an 8, 311 pounds. When you look at him right now, the highest I've seen him in any of the mocks is a 7th round. He's better than that. You know, he might not be a left or right tackle, but you can certainly take him in the 4th or 5th round and get a guard for a good long time. So you're watching, type in a comment. Thanks for coming. If you got any questions or anything, you know, type in a comment. Be happy to answer. Appreciate you being here. I want to move on. So far, we've talked Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa. We've talked Jaylen Moore out of Western Michigan. Now, one of my favorite players, David Moore, Grambling State, 6'1" and 5'8", 350 pounds. David Moore, the highest I've seen him is the 3rd round, which would be a reach maybe for a center, especially out of Grambling State. But I think he could go on that 2nd day somewhere. And definitely should be a 4th or 5th round guy. If you look at the Atlanta Falcons, maybe trying to replace Alex Mack, he might fit in perfectly. Now, I mentioned wingspan. I've said it 3 times already. Spencer Brown, 6'8.5", a wingspan of 82 3/8. David Moore, 6'1" and 5'8", 6'1.5", about my height, with an 82 5/8 wingspan. The man has almost a 7-foot wingspan at 6'2". That's incredible. So let's watch him in action here. I'll bring up David Moore. David Moore plays with a little bit of a nasty streak, which, you know, I don't mind. Here he's at center going against Carlos Basham. And I thought Carlos Basham was one of the best players at the Senior Bowl, period. So they go at it a little bit, chest to chest. And David Moore talks to him a little bit. And I was talking with one of my friends that was there. I was like, you know what? I don't mind that out of a kid from Grambling State. Needs to do a little bit more, a little bit extra to make sure that he's being seen. And you know, give helmet tap. There wasn't anything too bad about that. But again, 350 pounds, that might be a little bit too heavy, but he's still so light on his feet. 350 pounds. He's 6'1" 5/8". With those long arms, you see he's still able to push Bradley King around the edge there, a speed rusher. Here he's at center again. And I didn't see him miss a shotgun snap the whole week. Back here, and you definitely don't want him falling on you at 350 pounds. Thanks for joining. I see a bunch of new people coming in right now, so appreciate you joining. So far, we've talked Spencer Brown, Jaylen Moore, and now David Moore. We can watch that one again. I like the way that David Moore's at center. This is where several of you came in. He's at center and gets a good push here. Uses his hands well. Plays a little high, for 6'1" 5/8". He may play a little high, but that can be fixed. That can absolutely be fixed. What I love about him is his strength, his desire, the mean streak in him. He's getting out to the second level there and getting a block on the linebacker. So he moves his feet well, especially for 350 pounds, for goodness sakes. Get him down at 315, 320, put him at center for the next 10 years, and you just got a 10-year starter in the 4th or 5th round. So the highest I've seen him go is a 3rd round in a mock, but realistically, he's listed more on the back end, 5th or 6th round. So that's why I consider him a sleeper as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about Dante Smith. Dante Smith's out of East Carolina, measured 6'5" and 294 pounds. If you look at Dante, again, I've said the word. Probably you're probably tired of hearing about it, but I like what we're talking about with Dante here, because he measured with the 2nd best wingspan of any of the offensive linemen there. If we're talking about Spencer Brown at 6'8.5", 82 3/8 inch wingspan, this is Dante Smith of East Carolina, 85 1/8, 3 inches. He's got over a 7-foot wingspan. And he plays tackle and guard out of East Carolina. I met his agent while I was there. I said, now what you need to do is you need to get him out on a basketball court and just have some fun dunking. Because I promise you that Dante Smith at 6'5", 294 pounds with over a 7-foot wingspan can dunk the ball. So let's watch him in action here. He played some guard and some tackle. Let's watch that one again as he comes out of there. There he is at right guard. Watch him pull around the corner here. Ooh, there's not a safety that wants any part of that. Gave him a ride out of there. Left tackle here. That's Bradley King, speed rusher. Takes him for a ride, clears the lane for the running back. So you see his long arms. I mean, we're talking about a guy that can almost tie his shoes without bending over. It's incredible to have a reach like that. This is one he considered a loss. Uses that reach to push a guy around the edge. The quarterback steps into the pocket. He's upset with himself there. That's the kind of drive I like. So I've seen him listed as a 5th round guy. I think he's better than that. Daniel, I appreciate you coming in. Welcome. And Couch Scouts for sure. I really enjoyed being a guy that used to see how smart people were, who does their homework. To me, this is like finding treasure hunting. But I think Dante can play guard or tackle depending on where he's needed. He'll probably end up at guard. But a player I really like, and someone I think that we should keep an eye on as one of those sleepers. Another guy. Now, we talked about some small school guys so far. We've talked Northern Iowa, and no offense when I say small schools, but we're not talking about Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Texas here. We're talking about Northern Iowa, Western Michigan, Grambling State, and East Carolina. Now, when we get back to some of the more traditional powerhouse teams, especially for offensive linemen, let's take a look at Nebraska's Brendan James, 6'5.5", 300 pounds. That's tackle size. But for me, for a guy that was listed as really as an undrafted free agent, maybe going in the 7th round, a last day pick, I think he's going to move inside. I think he moves more as an offensive guard. So let's take a look at Brendan here. He played mostly tackle. You see him here at tackle, that nice white Nebraska helmet. But, a Nebraska guy, he's a drive blocker. So, I like him at guard. I think he absolutely should be a draft pick. Nice drop step going against Jonathan Cooper here, using his hands well. You can see he moves his feet, going against a speed rusher. So we don't have any doubts about his drive blocking ability here. He's just moving the pile again. This is a guy that's an undrafted free agent. No, I don't think so. I think this is definitely a draft pick. He played tackle pretty much the whole week and held his own against the speed rushers and stuff there. That I think he needs to be. I think he needs to be a guard, and I think he's got a chance to do some big things in the NFL. At least make a roster, for goodness sakes. He's certainly worth a draft pick. Again, speed rusher there. Doing a great job. So I'm a big fan of Brennan James too. Now, another of the big school guys, Robert Hainesy. Again, we're talking about a player here at guard, gold helmet. He's just run blocker extraordinaire. He's moving his guy second level here. Watch how quick he gets out of his stance and gets down to the second level run blocking here. Comes and takes on the middle linebacker, the inside linebacker, and he's there. Boom. I'm going to go one more time on that one, because what I like seeing is watch where he makes contact. Here, running back still 3 or 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's getting downfield in a hurry for Robert, who measured 6'4.5", 302 pounds. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing his numbers at the combine. I kind of talk about you find athletes by shuttles. The 40 time, it's fun. It's kind of like, hey, what's your bench? But how often is bench press really applicable in sports? It's not. And that's really how the 40-yard dash is. People talk about the 40-yard dash is what's your 40, the shuttle. So when y'all are watching combine stuff, look at the shuttle time. That lower shuttle, you get a guy with a sub-4 shuttle, he's returning punts. He's your corners. Those are your athletes. Your best athletes come from your shuttle time. And those are the guys like coming out of here like Robert, who can get out of there in a hurry. So I'll be curious to see what his splits are. His 5-10 splits on the 40, because that means a whole lot more than what he's running the 40, and his shuttle. 2 Golden Dome helmets, taking a Texas Longhorn for a ride. They just keep after him. You get the feeling they've done that before. But this is Robert Hainesy, and this is in pass protection at center. I don't think he'll be a center. I think that's just where he was getting some work. Good flexibility, nice bend. Decent drop step, so he can. I like his wide base there, chopping his feet. So I think he's got a chance for a guy who is listed in the 5th round at best. I think that would be a good spot for him. Definitely worth the draft pick. So another sleeper. Now, this last one I want to talk about here. Not last one, I'm sorry. I got two more guys I want to talk about here. And please, guy, if you're watching and you've got some questions, let me know if you've got any specific questions. I love the interaction. I said the easiest thing in the world to do is Q&A. That way I know that I'm talking about what you guys want to hear about instead of what I want to talk about. So if you've got some questions or anything, please do. This is Elric Jackson out of Iowa. Offensive tackle, came in at 6'5" and 5/8. We'll call that 6'6". 318 pounds. Now, I think that was a little heavy for him. I do. I think that was a little heavy for him, and you'll see him. He's carrying some bad weight. But if you go back a year and look at the mocks, he's a top 20 pick. And you go now, and he's in the 5th or 6th round. So I think the truth lies somewhere in between there. But you know what you're going to get with an Iowa Hawkeye. You're going to get a technician. It's like trying to pass rush against a textbook. So I thought that Elric was really good. Here he is at left tackle. Nice swim move. You see him come out of there. He comes out of there almost like a defensive lineman to get to the 2nd level. You see him come out of there with a swim move. He's to the 2nd level, and he's getting a good push. Just making a nice lane for the running back. Here he's at right tackle, just inside, strong side right tackle. And one of the things I love about him, and this block personifies it. So let's watch that again. Let's take that one back. He's at right tackle here, strong side right. I love the way he comes down on the tackle and then moves on to the next level and takes the linebacker for a ride. That's just good awareness. Comes down, gets a block there, and then he takes Kenny Britt from Auburn for a ride. Daniel, I have not seen Brady Christensen from BYU yet, but I will. I'll check him out for sure. Here's taking in his stance again at right tackle, pass pro set. So watch that kickback block. Nice drop step. Uses his hands well and just engulfs this guy. So Elric Jackson, 5th or 6th round. I don't think so. I don't think he drops that far from a first rounder in January to a 6th round guy later, unless there's a big injury there. I just think he might not necessarily be a sleeper, but when you look at where he's projected now, that's a sleeper to me. Right tackle again here, strong side right. Gets a block, gets another block. So I really like the way that he comes off of his blocks. Kick back here, takes care of Florida State, Marvin Wilson. Right tackle, nice kickback, uses his hands well. Finishes. So I think he's got, we talk about bad body. I don't particularly care that much. I saw Ben Jones, who everybody made fun of. And then he's still playing in the NFL, coming out of Georgia. He kind of waddle up, and all he did was pancake people. So I think he's got a chance to do some good too. And then one final guy here, and we say sleeper for him. He's not necessarily a sleeper. We're talking about Dylan Raiden. He's not necessarily a sleeper because he's being projected to be a 2nd-round pick. But he's still from North Dakota State. So how many of you have seen Dylan Raiden out of North Dakota State? 6'5" and 5'8", 304 pounds, and going up against guys that are better than anybody he faced for the most part in college. FCS guy, and he certainly held his own without a doubt here. You see him at left guard, but he played some guard and he played some tackle. I think he'd be comfortable doing either. And again, I like hear how he's working with his coaches because he sits down so well. You hear the coaches yell, sit, sit, sit. It means you just drop back, sit in that chair, extend your arms. That's where the bench press comes in. And just holds his ground. Here he's at tackle, using his feet well. Picked up 15 yards on a personal foul for hands to the face. So automatic first down. So this is Dylan Raiden, 6'5" and 5'8", 304 pounds. Again, good kickback. That was one of Patrick Jones's better reps. He didn't have the best week there when he was in Mobile. Left tackle here. Drive block, get to the 2nd level. And Michael Carter, the running back, I think he's got a chance to be pretty special as a 3rd down back or a receiver out of the backfield. At guard here, doing some one-on-ones. Coming out of North Dakota State and facing guys from Notre Dame, Ohio State, Pitt. He certainly wasn't intimidated by any stretch of the imagination. One more time at left tackle, then we'll finish up here. So that's Dylan Raiden, North Dakota State. Again, maybe not necessarily a sleeper per se because he is projected to go high. Now, we just had several guys just jump in. So if you want to go back over, let me know. Type it in the chat. Some of the guys we talked about, just to sum up here, was Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa, Jaylen Moore, Western Michigan, David Moore, Grambling State, Dante Smith, East Carolina, some of the smaller school guys. And then I think there's some guys that from the bigger schools, from the traditional powers, especially in the running game, when you think of offensive linemen, you think Nebraska and Brendan James. You think Notre Dame and Robert Hainesy at guard. You think Iowa and Elric Jackson. And then finally, another small school guy, North Dakota State, Dylan Raiden. So those are some of the guys I think as we head to the combine, as we head to the NFL draft, these are best available types. Everybody needs linemen. Everybody. If you can get a good lineman in the later rounds, you take them. You forget needs at that point. So these are guys that I think no matter who you're a fan of in the NFL, you can keep an eye on as the draft goes and see if they stay down in that level, see how much they rise and fall with the combine and that type of stuff. But they're certainly players to keep an eye on. And those, for me, are my sleepers on the offensive line now we still got more than 2 months to the NFL draft. In the middle of February, some players that I want to keep an eye on a little farther, and I think you should too. But I appreciate you joining me, and we'll do this again very often. And please hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this and a like, and we'll see you again soon.